Becoming a growth operator or being involved with info products at all has completely changed my life, as well as the other people that I've helped one-to-one to scale their own offers or become a growth operator. This video is the only video you're ever going to need to understand what growth operating is and what exactly you need to do to take your offer or somebody else's offer to $100,000 per month. We're gonna start off with an actual step-by-step guide, a breakdown of an offer that I took to $94,000 this month, and exactly the systems that we used and how we did that completely revealed. After that, I'm gonna completely break down the business model of becoming a growth operator, step by step, exactly what you need to do and what you need to implement on the offers that you work with. From there, I'm gonna take you through how to acquire clients as a new growth operator who now knows how to generate multiple tens of thousands of dollars every single month. I'm literally giving it all away, all the sauce, completely free inside of this video. So I hope that you sit and completely absorb all the value that I'm about to dish out, and then go and apply this for yourself. Go get results. It's that simple. I'll see you guys in the video. This is just one of the clients that I work with, and I'm going to be revealing absolutely everything for you guys to be able to use on your own to get results for other coaches so that you can get results for yourself. So let's jump in and break it down. First of all, here's a screenshot of our revenue with Fanbasis, which is a payment processor that I highly recommend if you're selling info. We did just over $70,000 in the month of November, and that's not including the payments that we also took on WAP and, crypto, PayPal, whatever, which was also over another $23,000. So in the month of November, with this one offer, we did over $94,000. And the craziest part was this was only the third month of coaching for this individual, and he only had 3 YouTube videos. I know it sounds insane, but I'm going to show you exactly what his YouTube videos look like and how exactly something like this can happen, right? So it's a stupid simple funnel. Like, you can do this, right? If you're watching this video and you're able to sit through, this video is probably going to be close, if not over 3 hours long. If you're able to sit through a video like this, building this funnel and actually taking action and getting results for a coach, especially if it's the right coach, it's going to be stupid simple. Okay. It's not easy. You still have to learn the task. You still have to go through and actually build all of this out, but it is stupid simple and pretty easy to understand when you get the hang of it. Right. So, first of all, with this coach, we didn't get on Instagram. We didn't get on TikTok. We didn't get on Twitter. I'm not going to lie, I kind of wanted him to, but it didn't work within his schedule. But obviously, if you're going to focus on one social media platform, let it be YouTube. It's not even close. YouTube is in first place if you're trying to make money online by far. There is not a close second. So all you need to do to get results on YouTube is a minimum of 1 to 2 videos per month, but these videos have to be there has to be real market research behind the videos. You can't shoot in the dark, especially with only posting 1 to 2 times a month on all social media platforms. This is not a lot of volume, so you're gonna need to do a lot of research on coaches similar to who you're working with. What videos work very well for them? Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Just make your slight changes to make the video your own experience. But in terms of titles and thumbnails that work, I mean, guys, you're not the next Mr. Beast. You don't have to come up with new concepts. Just see what's working and do what's working. It's that simple. So this is what it looks like. He posted once 12 days ago, a month ago, and 3 months ago. Literally, these are his only 3 videos. As you can see, the views are pretty good, 118K, 63K, 9.9K. That's just due to market research and knowing what the consumer actually wants to watch. And again, I want to stress that these views are actually not that important. You're not going for a ton of views strictly. You're also looking to hit people that are wanting to buy a program or coaching. You want to hit the right type of individual. If you're, targeting 14-year-old kids that have no money and you're trying to sell coaching for something, it's probably not going to go very well for you. But if you're in a good niche, as you can see, this is the drop shipping niche. E-commerce has always been phenomenal. Trading offers are phenomenal. They're great niches to go and make money as a coach in without getting a ton of views. Obviously, this is a lot of views, especially for your first 3 videos on YouTube, which is why we were able to scale the offer to almost 100K a month in just his 3rd month, right? So from these videos, obviously you post videos to get views. Now, views don't make you money. So what do you need to do to these views? You need to turn them into leads. How do you do that? You need to create a landing page that can collect the leads, right? People are going to watch your video. The video is going to be made value based. And of course, you're going to want to direct people to the link in your description that is, if they want coaching to learn exactly to do what you do as a coach, right? If you're a growth operator, help you coach. People are trying to learn what your coach does, send them to the description to get more information, right? With this, as you can see, we had a video sales letter, VSL, simple header, not a crazy, this is obviously isn't the full landing page, but as you can see, this application is only for aspiring brand owners, blah, blah, blah. Below this was an application. So what you want to do is take the people that watch the YouTube videos, direct them to a landing page to give them more information. And of course, the people that are serious are then going to be directed to Typeform. This is simply a software that's going to ask people questions. You give them multiple choice answers. You can give them, open-ended answers where they can type whatever they want. And that's actually going to add, friction to the funnel, but that's for another day. So once they go to this landing page, boom, they fill out your form and now they become a lead. But what happens when they fill out the form? So first of all, as soon as they fill out a form, your entire team, yourself, the growth operator, all your closers, your setters, the coach, y'all are all going to get messaged inside of Slack. You want to integrate Slack and Typeform together. And now every time you get a lead, you're going to get a message and you're going to see how good the lead is, what they said on their application. And this just makes it super easy for the team to all know and see it in one place, right? From there, when they fill out the form, if they're qualified, which we're going to go over more about qualified and unqualified leads here in a second, but basically after they fill out the form, they're going to be directed to Calendly. Calendly is to book calls, right? And this Calendly is either going to be one of 3 things. They're either going to be booking on Calendly directly with the coach, which I recommend for offers that are in the early stages. Just have the coach close for themselves. If the coach needs help with closing and you're not doing, close to 100K per month or at least $50,000 a month, then you as a GO might need to step in and take some calls as well. The third option would, of course, whenever your revenue meets the criteria, which usually they stay standard, is to bring on a closer. They need the opportunity to close 100K in a month so that they can make 10K a month. That's industry standard, paying them 10% industry standard. But obviously, option 3 would be a closer. Now, what happens when these people book a call on Calendly? The next thing in the automations, in the step, is they're going to be sent through Zapier. Now they don't see this happen, but when they go and book a call, Zapier is going to notify your team inside of Slack that someone booked a call, right? So Typeform is going to tell you and send, every time a lead hits Typeform, right? Every time someone fills out one of your forms, you're going to get notified. Now, if they go from one of your forms to continue on, book a call, then Zapier is going to notify Slack that and the team that they booked a call. It is also, Typeform, as you can see, is also going to create a contact inside of Go High Level. And Zapier is going to move the contact if they book a call down the pipeline. So, for example, Go High Level, if you have a few different stages where it's like a new lead, setter reached out, booked call, closed, right? When they go through Typeform, they're going to be placed as a new lead inside of your CRM, Go High Level, which is just where you keep all of your leads to contact in the future and continue to try to sell them, right? Zapier, when they book a call on Calendly, so that you don't have to go manually drag these people over in the pipeline from new lead to booked call, Zapier is going to move them to that stage completely done for you, right? So it's just a simple automation. And then with Typeform, basically what you're looking at is four different outcomes. Okay. When they go through your form, they're either going to be a qualified booked call. Okay. They're either going to be a qualified lead or unqualified lead, and they're either going to book a call or they're not going to book a call. Okay. So if they are a qualified lead and they book a call, of course, this is exactly what you're looking for. They're going to be directed to book a call with either you as the GO, you as the coach you're working with, or a closer, right? As soon as they're on that call, what we did on this offer was a one call close system. They get on a call, they already filled out an application to work with this coach, and now we sell them on the call. What that offer looked like was a 5K offer in an option outside of 5K, just like a financing plan, would be 3K down. So we didn't do 2.5, 2.5 in terms of like splitting the offer in half. If someone couldn't afford it, we do 3K down, 2K in a month. And then the closer would receive 10% for closing. And basically, what these people were paying 5K for was one on one mentorship. If an unqualified lead hits the pipeline, a box that's actually not here is qualified leads are not asked to book a call. They're automatically sent to book a call. Unqualified leads are asked if they want to book a call, because sometimes people lie on Typeform. Sometimes people have money and they say that they don't. And sometimes people just genuinely don't have money. But if they do have money, there's a good chance that they'll still book a call. But we ask those leads because we don't want to force unqualified leads to book calls, right? So unqualified leads, we still book a call to a different closer. And of course, if they book a call as an unqualified lead, then we're still trying to one call close that lead. But we're usually selling a different package, right? It's either low ticket. Now, we still show up and we're trying to sell the 5K, get 3K down. But of course, if financing is not an option or they just simply don't have money, then the option is to sell them a low ticket or salvage the package. Now, what this means is on this particular offer, 5K for one-on-one mentorship also included like group mentorship calls, the course, whatever, right? So instead of selling them the 5K, say, hey, and you can't afford the one-on-one yet, but we'll still give you the group calls in the course for 2K, right? Now that is something that the closer would be selling on the call, or just like the course for 1K, and of course, close is still 10%, right? If there's a qualified lead and they do not book a call, then a setter is going to reach out through the CRM, through Slack. They're going to reach out to these people. A lot of the time, they're going to be on WhatsApp because they might be from different countries, especially with this niche that we were in. But setter reaches out, and the whole goal of the setter reaching out is to just book a call with the closer. Now, if the setter books a call with the closer and the closer closes the deal, then they're paid 5%, 5 to 8% is pretty standard. And then of course, when they book a call with a qualified lead, we're still looking for the 5K offer. And if they need a payment plan, then it's 3K down and the closer still gets 10%. And we're selling that one-on-one mentorship. Now, if there's an unqualified lead and we ask them, again, if they're qualified lead, they say they have money, which is usually like at least $1,000, then they're qualified, right? And we direct them to book. If they have less than $1,000, then we ask them. And if they don't book a call at that point, we don't have a setter go and hit up these leads. What we do is redirect them, and we redirect them to a one-time, one-click purchase, low ticket offer, right? So it automatically sends them to basically a mini course where they're able to purchase not the full course, not group mentorship, not one-on-one coaching, but they are able to purchase some type of offer and get help from the coach still, because obviously that's what they're reaching out for. They're trying to get help from this coach. And the goal for the coach is, of course, to get these people results. And when you get people results, you're going to want to make sure to get testimonials, because testimonials make it much easier to scale. Now we're going to jump into the full breakdown of being a growth operator. Some of this, if it didn't really make sense to you, I'm about to completely break it down and basically give away my entire strategy behind the scenes and the way that I think as a growth operator, as well as the exact process you need to take to actually acquire clients. If you've gotten value so far and this is something you're genuinely interested in, check out the link in the description below if you want to work with me one-on-one and scale as a growth operator or an online coach. So basically, we're just going to be covering sections on this call. What a growth operator actually is. I know, it's a new thing for you. So we're just going to give a clear goal of what we're actually trying to achieve, offer and strategy with consulting of the coaches you work with, pipeline architecture, lead capture foundations, booking automations, funnel and landing pages, generating traffic, sales process and transition, optimization and scaling in the big picture. So each slide's going to kind of explain, like, I know that probably raises some questions, but each slide's going to kind of go into each one. So basically, this is covering the skills of what a successful growth operator actually does. There's plenty of growth operators that are really bad at fulfillment, right? Which is why they can't scale. And if you do a good job at getting people results, that's the easiest way to make more money, right? Because you get paid directly from them with commission. And, obviously they're going to refer you to other people that are in the space. So first of all, what a growth operator actually is. The goal of this section, which we're going to deep dive into each one of these sections. This is kind of just to present like a overview to you, so you know what we're going to be doing over the next few weeks. But the first section, again, this is going to give you context and mindset. So first of all, what a growth operator does and their goal is connecting marketing, automation, and sales. So you're taking care of all three of those roles for an online coach or consultant. So basically, if you're a growth operator, your goal is to do everything for a business owner that runs an info product, right? Information product. They sell a course on how to do something, how to get in shape. They do one-on-one coaching calls for how to get, rich in e-commerce, something like that. You want them to do nothing but content and getting their actual customers results. So content and fulfillment is completely on them. You want to be taking care of actually marketing, capturing the leads that go to their videos and want to work with them, building out automations so that, not everything is manual. And then, of course, like sales, which sales in the beginning looks very different than whenever you're scaling up, which we'll cover that later in, I believe, section 9. But why businesses need it? Again, it allows online coaching consultants to focus on high leverage tasks. So the highest leverage task that they can do to generate, leads and capital is going to be content and fulfillment. And by fulfillment, I also mean getting testimonials. So that's a big part of it. Like if a coach gets someone really good results, then you're going to want them to have that person record a testimonial, because testimonials help offers scale a ton, right? So the actual let me do this for you. The actual, is that better?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool. I saw you like kind of lean forward and I was like, oh, I should probably share that.
No, I was actually just taking a note, but I was gonna like stop you in between, like when it got to like some that I have no clue about. I was like, yo,
Yeah.
share that with me real quick because I'm
Yeah,
blind.
yeah, I feel that. So the toolbox, which is basically the different softwares that you're going to be handling. First of all, Typeform, which is how people apply to work with these coaches. It just asks them like 5 to 10 questions about like their income, why they want to get into e-commerce. You can add some open-ended questions to give it a little bit more friction, which again, we'll dive more into like why friction is good or bad or what it even is. Zapier is to connect all these different, connect Typeform to go high level to ClickFunnels. And again, like I know that might sound like rocket science, but it's not whenever we go through a live presentation in the near future. So GHL is go high level or lead connector. This is the CRM. So this is where like all the leads, when they fill out a Typeform, all their contact information will be put into one spot so that you or other team members that you hire, like setters and closers, they can find people's applications easy, like super easy. And you can build email list off this, everything like that. It's just to keep a list of potential buyers, right? And past buyers. ClickFunnels is where we'll build like the websites, landing pages, and the actual funnels. So like when they watch a VSL, a video sales letter, which is just like you click on a website and there's a video of a guy explaining what he does. Well, that's on the initial landing page. They click a button, they go to a next step to, fill out an application, or that sends them to the next step to get on a call. That will all be done through ClickFunnels for the most part, a little bit on Typeform. But again, that leads into Calendly. Calendly is just, where you take calls. That's where your sales team will take calls, and it integrates directly with, all of these. Slack is where all your notifications will be sent. Because Typeform doesn't actually have like an app right now. So you have Typeform message into Slack, and then you'll get a notification on your phone. Your closer setters will get notifications on their phone when people like book calls or apply. And then, of course, like just knowing the different ad platforms, Meta, and everything like that. And then Zoom, of course, what we're on, ripping a call. So the one-on-one coaching framework is a big part of like what you'll be doing as a growth operator. So taking somebody's view, right, from whether they click on an ad that you set up for this coach, or they click off a YouTube video or some type of content. They're like, I want to work with this guy. How do I work with this guy? You send them to a place where they can become a lead. There's a few different ways to do it. Again, we're not going to like dive into that right now, but we will cover it in the near future. But some ways they can become a lead is like filling out an application, even booking a call and putting them in the CRM directly, low ticket products. So selling them like a $20 like framework or mini course, so that you still have their email, phone number, and name, and you know that they're interested, and then you upsell high ticket. But basically, from this point in the process, then if it's not direct to book call, it might be, but you send them straight to book a call if they're qualified, which just means like they basically have money and want to work with that coach. And if they don't have money, then you can redirect them to like, again, like a low ticket product, like a $97 course, $147 course, because they can't afford the $2,000 group coaching or $5,000 course, right? Or like $5,000, $10,000 one-on-one. Then you can send them to something where you can still get some value, right? And then of course, from that point, you got your client onboarded, you got max value, and now you just got to think about ways to increase LTV and move them up the packages. So do you have any questions about this initial section that isn't necessarily like, how will we use, the different softwares? Because like I'll cover that and show you each one. But do you have any questions that you took down?
I mean, yeah, obviously, like it raises a bunch of questions when you talk
A
about your
ton.
toolbox. The toolbox
Yeah.
one was the one that raised the most. I was like, bro, I don't know what Typeform is. I don't know what a Zapier is. I wouldn't even know how to spell that if you told me what that was. Um, so like nothing really like that like specific, but like I mean, like you said, we're gonna cover most of it. So I think I'm gonna have like more like specific questions when it gets to that point.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. So just like I gave like a kind of a super brief overview, but just to put it as simple as possible, Typeform is just asking the customer a question to see if they have money. If they have money, Zapier sends them into Go High Level to track that they are like in your system. So like you can contact them,
Oh, I asked these questions though that you're saying I would ask these questions in like a call.
Yeah, I mean, I'll deep dive into every single thing that we're going over today.
Yeah.
But like I want you to get like a basic overview and understanding of like what the end goal is. So we're not like going into the specifics today necessarily. We're just getting a general of like, okay, I understand what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to market for them. I'm trying to sell for them. I have to use these different integrations. I have to build out landing pages. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm following.
Okay, cool. Do you have any other questions? I know that
Um,
didn't necessarily.
no, no. The only thing that I really like was like wondering that like it's not even like a for real question, but like why are testimonials such a big like why are they such an advantage and why are they so important? You said they're like a really big like
Yeah.
for scaling and making you like more legit, but like why is that? Because like
Yeah.
what if someone online and just was like saying, hey, they could just like BS it kind of. So like
Yeah, for sure. That's actually a really good question. So there are people that like fake testimonials and stuff, but authenticity is supposed to be the highest frequency if you're into that type of stuff. But at the end of the day, people can tell if you're being an authentic, truthful person, right? So it's better to not ever fake testimonials. And as a growth operator, you want to work with somebody who actually gets people results, because their company and their business is going to burn down at some point if they can't actually translate the success that they have And if they haven't had success, then you probably shouldn't be working with them because they're not going to be able to get other people success. It's harder than getting yourself success because you can't control what they're actually like doing and if they apply the information. But testimonials, they're not end all be all. Like I've had coaches I started with scratch from, and as long as they resonate with a customer or client enough, they don't necessarily need testimonials. A lot of the times, and pretty much any person that you should ever work with should be able to be their own testimonial. So, for example, when I started coaching e commerce, I was my own testimonial, right? Like I had success in e commerce. I will show you how. So, if they're like, do you have any testimonials? It's like, I am the testimonial. Like I did this
Like,
for
yeah,
this
bro, I made
amount.
like 10 bands a month. Like, yeah, I'd probably just, that's fair.
Yeah, exactly. And it is better long term when you're scaling, though, especially if you're trying to get into paid ads because the people know you less. They're not watching your content for fun because they like you. They just saw a video pop up that's like you're paying for them to see. You need a lot of evidence and proof that what you teach actually works for other people. So it helps with closing people that are further like deeper uh or I guess like super cold to your like who you actually are. They don't know you. They barely know what you do. But if they see that you've helped 100 people make over $10,000 a month, then it's a lot easier to sell them, right?
Yeah, for
So
sure.
they just have to like you less basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you don't think that's personal. It's just like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So is this are you good? Do you have any other questions or you want to go to section 2?
Nah, I'm good.
Cool, cool, cool. So section 2, the which is this is where we really start talking about like what you'll actually be doing for these coaches, right? So I put this first for a reason, but section 2 is your offer and strategy consulting, right? So that before you build out all the cool funnels and landing pages and, hire on a sales team or take closing calls, you need to make sure that this coach is selling the right package that you can make the most money from, right? Yourself, since you have a rev share, the coach obviously wants to make more money. Closers, when you bring them on, they want to be able to make money. Um, but you need to be able to see a coach's offer or their niche. And yeah, it takes a little bit of experience, but like obviously I'm gonna be here for you. So you need to look at their offer and say, this is the price point that you can charge that is going to consistently sell. And it's not going to be the easiest sale, but it's going to be a consistent sell, if that makes sense. Right.
Mhm.
Um, but the goal, teach the operator's brain, not just the tech, right? So you have to think like a growth operator, not just know how to do like the back end system. Again, like the upfront fee technically is for the back end system and committing to building that out. But for them to continuously pay you a rev share, you have to really know what's going on in their business and provide consistent value so that you don't get fucked over, to put it simple, right? So if you consistently provide value, that comes in with like continuous consulting, right? And always knowing the next step. But the first thing you need to know how to do is how to audit a coach's offer. So what what their promise is or the goal of, the person working with the coach is, their price, and then how you deliver it, right? So the very first thing that I think of when I see coaches offer, especially if I'm going to try to work with them and know that it's going to be enough to feed all the different mouths in a business and actually get them solid results, is you need a high ticket offer, right? High ticket offer is going to be like high ticket just means you're selling at a higher price point, right? Like maybe like $5,000 or more. Okay, that's like high ticket. Mid ticket is like, you're selling something for 500 to like $1,500, but then low ticket would be like $297 or less can be considered like low ticket, you know? Um, but you need to understand how to implement all of those and when to implement them into the actual coaching business. So you always start off testing the coaches their brand, their appeal, and like what they do with a high ticket offer, because they're going to be reaching less people if they're starting off, if they're new to it, right? So you're not going to go sell 1,000 people a $10 product, and make 10 grand. You have a better chance at giving your absolute all to two clients for $5,000 that's the same 10 grand and you only need two people instead of 10,000, right? That's just an exaggerated example to like, you know, if their audience is smaller, you want to be able to make the same amount of money with selling to less people, right? Put it simple. And again, these are all going to be separate. Like we're going to deep dive into each of these sections. And each of these will be like, a long like module that will answer all the specifics. But so again, how to help them create a great high ticket offer, but also implement downsells. So when a closer gets on a call, hey, it's $5,000 to work with them one-on-one. I don't have 5,000. I have 2,000. Okay. Well, we also have this 2,000 program. You don't get to talk to them one-on-one, but maybe you get group calls, right? So just like having something when they don't have money for the highest ticket offer, which again, in the beginning, your focus is the highest ticket offer because you're going to have less traffic when you start. But knowing when to implement that mid ticket and knowing how to and what people really want. Structuring a VSL or landing page narrative. So know who you're selling to, right, is a big part of the strategy in info space. For example, my situation whenever I was selling e-commerce is perfect, right? And this is why like honestly, like I stood out in the e-com space and was able to get on like a pretty big podcast, stuff like that. I didn't try to go into the e-commerce space with fake screenshots or like run up huge screenshots that maybe were like 0% profit margin. I was just super honest and authentic, and I sold to the people that would benefit. So I got to a point where I was making over $10,000 a month with e-commerce. Okay. There's people that want to see like, there's people that will pay 10, 25, 50, $100,000 for a coach to teach them how to go from $50,000 a month to get to $400,000 a month, right? I can't go and try to coach these people to do that, even though there's technically more money in it, right? But I can teach all these people on how I went from scratch and how they can start from zero. So I had to understand that I'm not selling to experienced e-commerce people. I'm specifically what my target client was they tried drop shipping before, but it didn't work for them. So they have an understanding of e-commerce. They've done like eBay or Shopify or like just dabbled in it a little bit, but realized maybe ads were too expensive, right? And maybe they're not trying to make 5, 10 grand a month. They just want like an extra $1,000 a month, right? So I sold to those people, which allowed me to sell to, a lot more. And then what I would do is once they got results, then I would sell the high ticket. So it was a little bit different of how I strategize now, but that was also a very unique offer. So like the narrative is basically like knowing who you're selling to, right? And where they are in their journey. So positioning and messaging fundamentals, again, that kind of covers same as like narrative, like you want to position yourself to where you're speaking to a specific person. Like you write it down. I'm talking to the 25-year-old guy who just got out of college and doesn't know absolutely anything about how he can start making money. He can't find a job. Like just putting a specific person, like a 25-year-old male with a girlfriend who wants to start making money so she can, like, super specific, right? Knowing how to find the correct specific person though, because if you talk to the wrong person, then you're not going to make money. Offer to funnel alignment. So, again, like if say for example, I'm selling a e-commerce course and I'm trying to sell it for 15,000, right? One-on-one coaching for 15,000. And you would want your funnel to come off super high end, right? Like you want to be talking to people with money. What if I had a $15,000 offer and the funnel looked like the offer that they were about to be presented is going to be like $300? People do that. Yeah, it's not going to sell, right? So do you have any questions over section 2?
So you
Obviously
talk
a ton, but
no, well, most of everything you're saying, it doesn't sound like rocket science, but it sounds like Spanish sometimes. But the only thing I really have a question on is like, how do you get to know who you said know who you're selling to and be specific? How do you get to that point? How do you know how do you know?
That's a really good question, dude. That's a really good question. So, first of all, it kind of starts in organic. There's like, I'm big on running ads. Yes, ads can help you scale a ton. But for a beginner coach, a lot of the time these guys don't have endless budget. They get stressed. They stop running the ads. So then like it doesn't get to the part where you're actually turning a profit. So a lot of these coaches that you're going to be reaching out to onboard and are going to be people that are finding success with organic content, meaning they're posting a YouTube video and people want to work with them. They're not paying for that, right? Like they're basically getting free leads. You know, it's not free because they have to make the video, but organic leads, right? So if you see in their comment section that, and you're like going through the profiles in their comment section, or whenever you do start working with them, maybe you test a little bit, right? Maybe you can
And that information's in the CRM.
like their age and everything.
Like, yeah, age, like their like all their information, why they're there, what they're willing to do.
So you can ask for their age in the type form and have it in the CRM, but
Mhm.
you almost never do that, right? I've
Okay.
done that with an offer in the past, but it was for the fitness industry, and I don't recommend going into fitness. If you're trying to make money as a growth operator, the best space to be in is biz op, so business operations. Basically, a business model that helps people make money. Like, for
So drop
example,
shipping,
yeah,
e-com.
day
Yeah.
trading,
Yes.
like
Okay.
I'm going to help you make money, not I'm going to help you get in shape. Cause then it's like, well, like, do I really have
There's already a
$5,000
lot of
saved?
knowledge, and there's already a lot of knowledge in that. Like, I mean, getting in shape's not rocket science.
Yeah.
Like you don't really need to. And I wouldn't recommend buying a high ticket thing to get in shape.
Yeah.
So like,
And
even
that
with a YouTube
still,
video.
exactly. And that kind of goes like, that's actually like an indirect question or, uh, for this section is there's already the information on how to get in shape online. So why do people pay for high ticket fitness coaching? Because people do. So when you think
Mm,
about it, it's like, why are these people spending money for fitness coaches when the information's all there? They're not buying the information. They're buying the accountability. They're buying the opportunity to make it easier. Like they don't want to put all the information together. So you have to think about again who you're selling to. Are you selling to the guy who just wants a direct plan but doesn't want to talk to you on the phone? He's just like, bro, send me a spreadsheet. Or are you trying to sell to the person that's like, I want to get in shape. I can't commit to myself. They're super emotional. Say you're selling specifically to 40-year-old women post birth. They don't feel like themselves. They put on some weight and now like they want to get back in shape, but they've been in shape before. They know how to be in shape. Like they physically know how to do it. You just
they
eat
just want someone
decent
telling
food and you
them.
go lift. When you're selling them or you're like putting them through a funnel, it shouldn't be like, we're going to teach you how to do a pull up. You know, they're going to be like, I know how to do a pull up. I've been in shape. You know,
Yeah.
you got to you got to sell at different points that's emotional to them. You have to hit their specific pain point, right? So if it's
Yeah.
like a woman post birth, like the lingo you're going to be using where it's like, extra pounds after birth, like you just birthed the child, now you have extra weight, stretch marks, like you're saying stuff that's making them like emotional. And whenever
Yeah.
the coach is actually like selling them, it's not going to be like, we're going to teach you how to do a pull up. It's not literally what you're going to get in the program, it's how they're going to feel in the program. Like,
Okay.
so whenever they're selling, for example, or when you're selling through the offer, it's like when you're feeling like you can't commit to yourself, we'll be there, you know? Like you're selling something different because they already have the information. So to sit there and try to sell the info isn't going to be profitable. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Exactly. You're just shifting gears based on your client.
Exactly. Exactly, dude. Do you have any other questions for the section two?
Nah. I mean, I'm. Yeah. No.
Perfect.
I'm good
Yeah.
now.
Again, we're going to recover all of this information and go deep dive into each one. But section three, pipeline architecture and go high level. So this is again just where like the leads are placed. Um, but building out different pipeline stages, right? So you need to be able to, if someone submits an application and you're asking, do you have $500, $1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000? Like how much money do you have? And you make it multiple choice. You need to be able to place them in like very low, I have $0. Low, I have $500. Medium, I have, $2,000. High, I have $5,000 or more to invest in myself, so that, you and your team members know who is a priority to sell to, right? Like, where can we make the most money? So the pipeline stages we're looking at, like here, for example, very low, low, medium, high. That's based on their budget, and then it would move into um, like phone call or like some type of outreach. Like, did your setter message them? Did they follow up? And did they follow up twice? Did they reach them? Did they not? If someone books a call, it will automatically put them under one of these categories here. Like, you see these categories.
Yeah.
There'll be a category that says like booked call, right? And it'll automatically, again, the automations we were talking about earlier, it will move this person. By the way, all these blue lines are their names. I just crossed it out for like privacy purposes since
Wait,
we're
yeah.
recording it, right? So, but it automatically takes this person and moves it under one of these stages that says booked call without anyone actually having to go do anything, right? So that's like one of the automations. But
Stuff.
yeah, how automations trigger between stages. We're going to jump into that in this section when we cover it in deep dive. Lead quality branching, like how to actually get people into these specific pipelines without doing anything, right? And then wait timers, delays, so things don't get clogged up, conditional filters, and then Slack messages where you get notifications that somebody just applied and now they're in the low stage, right? So you can see how good the lead was after they filled out a form to work with the coach, right? Like everybody on the team can, and then tagging and reporting setup. But this is like, I couldn't screenshot the entire pipeline. There's like each one of these rows, there's like, I think there's like 12 of them, right? And this is just 5 of them. So, but this is
Okay.
like a preview of like the pipeline. So this is pretty straightforward. We'll deep dive and like build this out together. Like one of these, like the pipelines, like in Go High Level, we'll build this out together and all the automations behind it, everything like that. But do you have any questions for now?
No, you just said that there's 12 rows, so does that just mean it's like Uber specific?
Not, it just is where they're at in their journey. So like these first 4 is like they just reached out to the coach. They filled out a form and they
Okay.
want more information. Then we move them to this one, for example, says phone call 1. That means an appointment setter reached out to them. So appointment setter is just like, they haven't, these guys, by the way, your initial leads can go direct to book a call, right? So we send them to book a call. If they don't book a call, then they're placed in one of these. If they do, then they're placed under a category that says booked call. So these are all people that have not booked a call. But if they don't book a call, then the setter reaches out trying to put them on a call. But that's not phone call 1. We actually changed this today to it was like reaching out to them, but I think we did initial outreach to follow up and then follow up times 2. Like that would be 3 of the stages, which just means like I texted them, like, hey,
Yeah.
I saw your form, thank you for applying, blah blah blah. And then if they don't respond, follow up would be like a day from then. You're like, hey, did you see this? Follow up times 2. Hey, just checking if you're still
That would just be
interested.
phone call 2, phone call 3.
Exactly, but we
When do
changed
you end,
phone.
when do you end it?
So
When do
we
you like, all right,
actually,
when do you get like, all right, I'm getting ghosted?
in this example right here, we go outreach, follow up 1. So we go outreach day 1 or as fast as you can whenever they hit the pipeline,
Mhm.
follow up a day later, and then follow up another day later, which should be a text and a double dial, which just means call them back to back.
Mhm.
And if they still say nothing, then we put them in a stage that says did not reach, right? And we just keep hitting the new leads, keep hitting the new leads. And then we
Yep.
put the did not reach into like an email sequence to nurture them over time, or anything like that. But that's just for the setter. The closer has the back half of the pipeline, which is like when people book a call, it's officially the closer's um,
Yeah.
it's in like the closers section where he moves it to, did they show up to the call? Did they not show up to the call? Did they buy something on the call? Did they pay in full, or did they partially pay, or are they not interested or unqualified when they show up to the call?
What if they like say, hey, sorry, I booked at this time, something came up, I gotta call you back the next day?
So they will go and reschedule a call in Calendly and
Mhm.
it will keep them automatically in booked call and move them back up like the tier. So it'll
Okay.
re hit the system with their booked call. But that's a
Okay.
good
That
question.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question, bro. Do you have any other ones for section 3?
Not really. Just like, I mean, it's kind of hard to
Yeah.
sell it. It's like someone has $0. How do you sell to someone with $0?
So none of these people have $0 besides possibly
That's what I'm
very
saying.
low.
That
So
that and then even though those are like you're saying those are like our last priority, correct? Because it goes like high ticket all the way down to very low, super low ticket,
yeah,
and
I'll
there's
tell you how this example works. I don't want to get too deep into this right now, but for example, if they say high, they have at bare minimum $3,000, right?
okay. I
So
got
three
money.
thousand dollars or more.
Got it.
Yep. And then medium would be $1,000 to $2,000. Low is $500 to $1,000, and
And it's
very
270.
low is I have $0 to $500 to invest. So some of them have like 500. Some of them lie and they have money, but then
I just want to
like
hear your
yeah, they don't want to get pitched on like a big package just because they have money. They like some people think like that.
pitching it anyway.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's just an example for this specific one,
Okay.
but they don't all have to be exactly like that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Cool. You good to go to section 4 here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool, cool, cool. Section 4 is just lead capture foundations, which is like how we actually use like Typeform, right? Or like um, when we're capturing leads, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can do it with like a free PDF, like, hey, if you put in your phone number and email, I'll send you like a free training video, or like I'll send you a PDF that tells you how to get started, right? But most of the time, I like using Typeform, right? Because when you give people free stuff, you don't get information from them in terms of like where they're at in their journey. And a lot of the times you're just getting spammed with unqualified leads. The people that want free stuff are not committed, right? Sometimes, but again, you can test different funnels and strategies. But um, in this section, we're going to cover the Typeform setup overview. So actually like how to make, like, these are the questions, what it looks like in Typeform when you're like building it out. And then question design for qualifying leads, scoring logic, which is like, right here, like lead quality tagging. This is how they're moved into those specific branches we were talking about, the very low, low, medium, high. We put a delay and then we make the opportunity automatically update. So again, nobody has to go type in the name, email of these people into Go High Level to track it. It's automatically tracked, right? How to
That's so.
use, yeah, and then you can how to use the calculated scores. So like if they answer I have $1,000, they're given a certain value that moves them to this specific stage. You know what I'm saying? Which I'll go deeper into that whenever we get to section 4, everything like that. Hidden fields, how to connect Typeform to Zapier, and then Zapier to Slack and to Go High Level for contact creation, which is again uh yeah, this picture, I don't, on my share screen, can you see my face and your face, or does it hide it?
I mean, I'm seeing it on Zoom, but I'm not seeing it on.
Okay, okay, yeah. So you can see the Slack, like it's just
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
shit
Yeah.
turned
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I get what
cool.
you're saying.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so and then delay and mapping best practices. So like why there is a delay, stuff like that, and how your lead quality tracks correctly. Again, we'll deep dive into that. Redirect logic. So what you actually do with these leads. Like, well, what if someone does say they're a high quality lead? What if they do say they have $5,000 to invest? What if they say I have $500 to invest? What if they say I have $0 to invest? What do you do with them at that point? So if they're a high quality, usually you have them go book a call. And if they don't end up booking a call, then you have a setter reach out and try to get them to book a call with a closer, which a closer is just a sales rep. Medium, same thing. You're sending everybody with money to a call to be closed on a deal. And if they don't want the call, but they fulfilled the form, so they're already a lead, but they didn't book a call. That's the setter's job, is to be like, hey, do you want to get on a call? We have some. Maybe there was no availability. Maybe the calendar was full. So now the setter's reaching out to them, or maybe sometimes these people are from different countries. They think their English is really bad and they're kind of embarrassed, so they just want to talk to somebody in messages. So then the setter reaches out and they can even close them in messages, right? If they have no money, um, you can still send them to book a call because sometimes they're lying. It depends on like how early the offer is. Like I would put everybody with potential like that fills out a form, I would put them on a Calendly, pretty much regardless on the early stage of an offer. But as an offer grows, for example, I actually did this today where I had an offer that we removed. If you have less than $500, you don't even get the choice to book a call. We actually redirect directly to a low ticket with a video that tells them why they should get the low ticket and what it actually is. Right. So now we don't have to waste people's time of like, getting on these calls, or like now there's not a commission. The coach doesn't have to pay 10% for these people to buy something. You know what I mean? So then you send them to
Yeah,
a low ticket product.
that's actually really smart.
Yeah. So is there any questions you have about like section 4?
No. The only thing I mean, that's a big question on like exactly like why you do this, but I mean, you kind of that's pretty self-explanatory. This one's actually pretty self-explanatory.
Perfect. Perfect. I'm glad you
But
feel that way.
that
Hell
makes a lot
yeah.
of sense.
Good, good. Yeah. So section 5 is like the booking automation, and we're going to cover like how exactly to do that. So sending people from Calendly to Go High Level. So like how come, when someone books a call, how come they automatically move to the booked call section, and how to do that, right? So it goes from Calendly, Zapier delays it and then sends it over to Go High Level, which is our CRM, our pipeline. And then from there, once that's updated, Slack gets that message of, hey, there's a new lead, So we don't even get notified until all of this happens. Uh, so we'll cover in that section Calendly event setup, your redirect to thank you page, which is usually on ClickFunnels. So for example, um, on a offer, the offer that I was referring to a second ago, when someone books a call with us on Calendly, instantly they're sent to a page where they can get more information, right? So that's like the thank you, like, hey, you booked a call, cool. Here's what to expect, and here's what's expected of you to like show up on the call in a quiet place, blah blah blah, and like here's some people who've gotten results, or like next steps. Webhook and Zap is just Zapier, which is like this software, which we'll learn about it at another time. But Calendly to create, update, contact, and Go High Level, and then troubleshooting duplicates and timing. So like if you need to add delays and why, auto move stage. So move them. Whenever they book a call, they need to be placed in book a call without a setter having to go like drag it over in the CRM and track it manually, and then the Slack notification and tagging logic. So, do you have any questions about like this outside of like how to do it? Obviously, because we'll cover how to do it.
No, I just like how, I mean, I feel like when you're talking about closing, you're talking about people that are already in like they've already filled out forms, they've already interested, they're already like wanting to do a specific thing. So does that make it like just super easy to close some of these people?
Yeah, like if you have like the automation set up and you're talking about like the thank you page.
That's what I'm saying. They've already went through a Calendly, Zapier, the CRM and all the stuff that gets us Slack, then you get notified. It's like they've already seen like so much information. I feel like
So
your job 10,000
yeah,
times.
so the actual software we use won't make them see anything. It will all happen automatically. But for like exactly what you said, like
For us, yeah.
the thank you page, like when they're redirected to the thank you page, it helps so much. Because say you're a closer and you're like, bro, every time I get on a call, this person asks me like this specific question. What you do is you tell the coach, hey,
Answer the question.
answer the question before the call. Make a
Yeah.
video covering this question. And you know what's going to happen most of the time? Uh, People are going to stop asking the question because they have an answer before the call.
Yeah,
So
it's
it just
fair.
helps the closer a ton. And maybe the people don't like the answer to the question, so they no longer want the call, they cancel it, whatever. They weren't going to buy anyways, something like that. But then a setter reaches out to them because they canceled the call. So there's always a next step, and that's what the job of a growth operator is to find out where you can extract the most value from and how to do that, and with as little hands as possible, basically. Like you don't want to have to hire a million people to like manually do a bunch of stuff. That's why we use automations.
Yeah, that makes sense. That all makes sense.
Perfect. Perfect. So section 6, what we'll cover is the funnel and landing page and how to build it, which will be on ClickFunnels, just to get familiar with the name. And this will teach you how to convert traffic to Typeform applications. So this is the stage between someone watches a YouTube video and now they want to like figure out how they can work with this coach. So this is an example of a landing page of one of the coaches I work with. And you have a title, you have the VSL, which is just the video sales letter. So the video covering like what they actually get in the program, or what the coach does, how he helps other people, what results he's gotten other people. And then the application is below this, but it didn't fit in the screenshot. So we'll cover funnel structure overview, how to actually just build it, and how many stages you need. For example, like the thank you page will be on ClickFunnels. So landing page, how to embed the type form and actually like, change the colors of everything. Thank you pages, again, redirect logic for booked versus unqualified leads. So you'll have to build a separate one of these for if you want to send people that are unqualified to a low ticket offer, right? So like they're like, I have less than $500 to invest. Okay, well, boom, it automatically sends them to a page that looks like this. That's like, you're not qualified for this, but here's what we made specifically for you in your current situation. You have to build out another landing page for that. And then testing your entire flow end to end to make sure it works, of course. Do you have any questions, section 6?
No, but I know that I'm gonna have 1,000 questions on how to build the funnel.
Yeah, this one's going to be whenever we're actually deep diving into section 6 and we're setting up live together, it's
That'll
going to
be
it's going to take a little bit for sure.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that one I'm like, yo, like it sounds way easier said than done.
Yeah, yeah, and there's like just a lot of little things, but like having that guidance is going to help so much. But
I
let's
mean, yeah, if I
go.
was doing this blind, it'd be impossible.
Yeah. So section 7 is actually like generating the traffic. So the first thing we covered is um, like when you're working with a coach, like obviously you need to know what they're selling, and then you need to build out the systems of like how they're going to sell it. But this section should already technically be like completed by the coach before you even hit them up majority of the time. There is like some exceptions, but you don't want to technically have to worry about generating traffic in the beginning. You want the coach to be good at that. Like he should be good at content where people want to work with him, and that coach needs help setting all of this up. Because like imagine like you're like, I do e-commerce, but like imagine trying to set all of this up with no guidance. So then they reach out to you to do that. But anytime you're starting off with a new coach, um, organic content is going to be like the most important thing, right? Unless you get a coach who's already at like 30, 50K a month and you're trying to help them get to like 200K a month, then of course, like you're going to implement ad spend, or maybe the coach is already has like a good amount of money. But most of the time, like the coach, if he's just starting off, he might not be like super rich or something. So, um, but his goal is to get rich. And there's a lot of people who want to give him money, but he doesn't know how to collect it, right? So you're there to help him. But in this example that I'm showing you here, in just 3 videos, this client cash collected over $100,000 in 3 YouTube videos, right? Like well over $100,000. But in the section, we'll also cover how to set up ads, how to run ads, a bunch of different types of ads as well, and then connecting, sending people from ads to the ClickFunnels landing page we talked about, to Typeform to answer questions, and then track everything and go to high level in the pipeline, and then Pixel and Conversion API, which is going to make no sense to you. Like those words are like, just forget about them for now, basically.
Yeah, I'm,
But it will
I'm
be
just,
in the
just
section.
blank staring at that.
Yeah, yeah. Just forget about that for now, because that's, even when we get into a deep dive on that, that's still going to be kind of confusing, unfortunately. But
No, we ball. Let's go.
yeah, exactly, bro. Do you have any questions about section 7? It's kind of,
No, we just kind of handle. So we're just handling this guy's back work.
so we're going to give him some ideas of videos that work in his niche, but he should already be good at doing that himself at the same time. But there
Yeah,
will also be coaches that aren't the best at doing that. They could do so much better. Your job is to also find videos that would perform for them, not just in terms of views, but like taking a view into a dollar, you know, like how
Yeah.
people actually pay them and, finding the right audience.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. So, section 8, the sales process and the transition out of selling in the beginning. So, teach scaling from you and the coach taking sales calls to actually building out your own sales team is what we'll cover in section 8. So, if you're starting with a new coach, which is if you're a new growth operator, you're probably going to acquire like a newer coach as your first client, right? Um, if they make $500,000 a month, they're probably going to go to a guy with a ton of authority and probably honestly through a connection, right?
I mean,
Um,
yeah, if they came to me, I'd be like, yeah, we're lit.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that would be good. So
That would
early,
never happen.
yeah, no, it might happen, dude. You never know. But early stage sales, like when you first start on a coach's offer, when you're only doing organic and you're like, they've never tried to sell anything before, but say they have like 1,000 subscribers on YouTube and they only have like 10 videos. So you're like, dang, this guy's actually growing pretty quick. And his comments want him more information. Let's test out his offer. So you reach out to the coach. You would send him, like, we're not going to talk about acquiring an actual client for yourself in the overview, but that will be like a big thing we talk about. There's going to be an entire separate thing where we talk about that. Like you actually like reaching out and finding coaches to work with. Um, but in the beginning, when you're just now launching their offer, they're not going to have a ton of booked calls. If they do, fine, good. But in the beginning, the coach should be taking his calls himself if possible, right? Like if he has the time, he's going to have the highest closing rate. More than likely, he's going to be like the most passionate about closing the deal. He knows exactly what he's trying to do for that student, and he knows the business model better than anybody who's the one coaching it and had success and grew an audience on YouTube. You should also be helping him with sales calls if he doesn't have time. Um, but obviously, the goal is to hire a team to where you don't have to take any sales calls and the coach doesn't have to take any sales calls at some point, obviously, right? So then you get into setting up and hiring a setter and a closer or setting up their workflows and go high level after you hire them. And then, of course, like pipeline tracking, reporting KPIs, which is just like key performance indicators. Um, it's like tracking their show rate, their close rate, cash collected per call, like how much are they actually getting paid per call they take on average, how many messages a day is the setter sending, how many calls a day is the closer taking. That would be like your reporting. um, and then the handoff process, so like how you actually ease yourself off of sales calls. So a lot of the times if I get a coach that I believe in and I think that he has a ton of potential, but we still have to get through that early stage of his offer, I will still take some sales calls. But it depends. I'm not just taking sales calls for anybody or like, something I don't believe in or something that doesn't have the right price point still. Um, and again, like I have sales people on my team now, so it's a little bit different. But again, you can't put a closer on an offer. Like an industry standard for a closer to get hired onto a company is $100,000 a month. If you hire a closer, you want them to be able to make $100,000 in cash collected for the business so that they get paid $10,000 a month. Like that's industry standard. Now you're gonna hire a closer before that, majority of the time. Unless the coach like is enjoying his sales calls and like wants to get to that 100K mark himself, whatever. Unless you see the need or he's not really closing at a high rate to hire one earlier. But then you're gonna have to find someone who's okay with making, uh, you know, less than that per month, which maybe that means they have less experience or training. You know what I mean? So, is there any questions about this section?
No. I mean, I'm just gonna have. I mean, it came into my mind earlier, but it kind of was like from a completely different section. But like just because it's talking about sales calls itself, so this is just kind of like left field. But if you're on a call and someone asks you a question about like the thing you're selling itself, are you like, or should you tell them what like is actually you're gonna like they're gonna get, or should you be like, hey, I don't want to misguide you, and I'm going to pass. Like, I think you should buy this person because I'm not the coach. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. That's actually a really good question, and the answer is
Like, I know
both.
it's not exactly like what we were just talking about, but like I was thinking
No,
about that when you were
that's
talking
perfect,
about
bro.
when I was taking calls myself. I was like, if someone were to ask me a question about something, like I'm just the expert on what I'm selling, but I'm not like the one that's like doing it itself.
Yeah,
You know?
and that's a perfect question because uh first of all, you can do both, right? So you can one, you should be studied up on the offer. You should understand what the coach does. At this point, you've talked to the coach for hours and hours on the phone, and like watched his videos, try to like, learn about the business model. You need to understand what you're selling, right? Like you should. But there's going to be questions that people ask that sometimes you don't know, but you can also deflect in certain ways. Like if you don't know it, you can be upfront and honest with them. Like, hey, bro, honestly, like I know that's covered in the program, but I don't know the answer for you. Or if they ask a question, because a lot of people will ask questions, they'll get on a call and they'll try to just milk you for information. So sometimes it's better if like a closer doesn't know everything about the business model, so that the person's like, well, how do I start Google Ads? You don't want the closer to go teach them exactly how to start Google Ads. You know what
Yeah,
I
because
mean?
then there's like, yeah, because then you're selling the course for them.
Yeah. So you
But
want
yeah,
them
yeah,
to, yeah, you want them to say like,
that's exactly what I was
let's,
asking. Like, yeah, what if they're asking? Yeah, like, that's what I was trying to get at.
yeah,
Like, what information? I'm like, even though I know it, am I allowed to just be like, hey, this is actually like already in the course. I'm not the coach itself. I'm not trying
exactly.
to guide you
Yeah.
in a way.
Yeah. You're like, dude, well, that's exactly why you're reaching out to get the program, right? Like that's one of the things that you're going to learn
Okay.
a part of, a part of the entire
Yeah.
program. Many other things.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions?
No, just that. I was just wondering how to like kind of like deflect that because that was coming to my head when you were talking about I'll be taking calls myself. I was like that'd be something that'd be like, huh, like, you know.
Yeah. Good question, bro. Good question. Section 9 is optimization and scaling. So when all of this is set up, like how does the coach make more money if the system isn't changing? Like you already have it all built out. You already have the closer. So how can you continue to make money? So checking your funnel analytics, seeing where there's leaks or faults in the system. Like, hey, when we ask this question, maybe we need to reword it because 99% of the people like leave the form when they get asked this question. So then like conversion tracking, automation, optimization. So figuring out if, there maybe needs to be a little bit more of like a time delay on your end because sometimes leads are coming in as unqualified, but really it just didn't track properly, which should be set up right the first time, to be honest with you. Triggers, field updates, split testing landing pages. So seeing like if a certain landing page performs better than the other. And then, of course, like testing different ad creatives if you get into ads. This can also be like testing different styles of content, right? And then turning the process. This one's specific to you, not necessarily helping the coach, but turning the process, this entire process of what you're doing, into a repeatable system for clients that you work with, right? So, like, when you build out this pipeline and you build out a landing page and like, you're setting up a sales team, going through automations, obviously you learn a lot more by actually doing it. Like if you do it, then like the next time you do it, it's going to be a little bit faster. The time after that, it's going to be a little bit faster. It's going to be a little bit better. The landing pages are going to look better. But when you can like use your prior work for the next client, right? Like if you have a pipeline already built out, you can basically copy and paste the dry version and then make adjustments to it. So instead of the pipeline, being uninformed, like you don't know what you're doing, you build out the pipeline and, maybe it takes you 6 hours, the next time you do it, you get to copy and paste it. It's technically the work that like was already completed for another coach, but now your only goal isn't to just build it for them. It's to improve that system. So, turning that into like a repeatable system and constantly getting better at your craft, being able to fulfill faster. So it takes less of your time, but also fulfill better, right? Do you have any questions on section 9?
When you talked about split landing pages, like split testing, could that not be bad? So like if you're testing landing pages, I'm assuming you're talking about on like public scale. Could that not be bad for business? So let's say like you have people that are like interested in your whatever you're selling, and then one of the landing pages is like crap, even though you're testing it out. Like, could that, and they might not like want to go back and like see another one that might just like completely just like derail them off the whatever you're selling.
Exactly. But you're not going to put a crap landing page. But if you put out two good landing pages that are
You're just seeing which one
slightly,
is better,
yeah, exactly. Like you word one of
like
them a little bit
theming, like
different.
the theme or like the way you word it, the information. Like, okay,
Yeah, like maybe you're like, to put it like simple, like one's a dark landing page, like it's just like black, and then the other one's background is white. You know, like
okay. And you just run numbers and see like your conversion rate and everything.
yeah, exactly. You see which
Okay.
one has better metrics. Do you have any other
Uh,
questions for 9 or no?
no, I mean
Perfect.
that makes sense to me too.
Perfect. Section 10 is, the big picture, right? So like your business vision and mindset going into it. So like the growth operator ecosystem, right? Like how each piece feeds the next, how everything actually works. Because all of these little details are like independent skills, like even how to use Zapier is like a skill, but that's just a small piece of the puzzle. And you just need to make all of these small, I mean, really they're big pieces because if one is messed up, then none of them are going to work. And you got to figure out where stuff is getting messed up from, which is not that fun to do, but like learning how each piece feeds the next, right? Is a big part of what we're going to be learning, and then building your portfolio of client results. So I wrote from volume to quality after this, and basically this is not something you're going to have to like really think about, but I wanted to mention it on this slide. When you're first starting off, pretty much any coach that's willing to give you $5,000 as an upfront fee and 20%, 30% rev share to get started, given he's not like a piece of shit, you're probably going to work with, And I did that at the beginning too. And I got to the point where I had double digit clients, like all at the same time. And then I had a few outliers, some that started outperforming the others. And what I did was disconnect from the people like the coaches you'd work with that just stopped posting content or like
Did you give up on it?
yeah, like you'll have clients that, I mean, that's supposed to get prevented by the upfront fee. Like if you charge upfront, which you always will, because if you don't, then you can build all of this out and next thing you know you get paid $0 for it. That should never be the case. But you go from 10 clients to now my personal goal is to have 3 clients that all do over 7 figures a month. So I don't want my focus isn't to scale horizontally, it's to scale vertically. And what I mean by that, it's not to acquire more clients, it's to make my top clients more
Yeah,
money.
quality over quantity.
Exactly. But in the beginning, like,
You get volumes,
quantity,
everything.
yeah, quantity is not going to hurt you because you're going to have a little bit less credibility, which we're going to talk about how to like give off more credibility whenever you're making content and like, come off as like, what you're really talking about, stuff like that. But again, like if you can get testimonials, that's also big. So me personally, I had a little bit of an advantage starting as a growth operator because I was a coach before it. I sold the e-commerce program. I was on a big podcast, so it's like I
We're
know how
your
to
own
do this.
testimonial, and you
Yeah,
had
I was
credit,
my own testimonial exactly. But like
and you
you're
had
gonna
credit.
have to convince someone when they ask you what have you worked on, like you're gonna have to have an answer for them, that doesn't scare them away. But once you work with a few coaches that are like cool with your current situation, and you just being honest with them, and they're like, okay, well, I'm gonna give you a shot or whatever because I can't maybe afford like another guy or whatever, or maybe
Yeah,
they just like you. Then, if they take off, then you just keep them as one of your core guys, and if they don't, then obviously they'll need to be replaced. Um, that's just how it is. But for me personally, this is kind of a little bit off topic. It's not like on the slide or anything. I heavily vet the people that I work with. So, and you obviously charge up front, so it should prevent people like stopping in the middle of something. But for example, I had a guy who stopped his, so he was brand new to selling coaching. Okay. And his first month of coaching, he tried and he was doing all organic and he made $3,000. Okay. And then he reached out to me. He was like, I made $3,000 my first month of coaching. And typically I would be like, good job, bud. I don't know, like, there's nothing I can do for you right now. It's a little too early. But he was actually a really, really cool dude. And I liked him a lot and we had a lot in common. And I thought that he had a lot of potential. And I was right. So we started working with each other. We finish up that month and get everything set up. The next month, he did $3,000. The next month, we did over 70,000. From 3,000 straight to over $70,000, right?
Bro,
In the
bro,
month after that, so that month he buys a
it's 23.
he
Bro.
buys a super nice car, and then he stops posting after that.
Did he tell you why?
He got burnt out.
Yeah,
He
he was just grinding for a month.
Yeah. So he grinded super hard, and he did work his ass off. He's posting like a shitload of content. Um, but I mean, the offer did really well. And then the next month, it went like cold, right? Like he just stopped posting completely and turned off ads, like didn't want to invest in it and took a break. And it's like, I mean, that just sucks when that happens. But this guy, when he's like ready to go, everything's still set up, but like I won't necessarily completely cut him off because like I still think he's a good person and I want to work with good people. So like always like, maybe that matters. It matters a lot in business in general. But maybe
Yeah.
you have a different view on it. Everybody's different, but I just wanted to mention that even though it's not on this, I just want to
I
mention
mean,
that.
I think character is huge. I think anything you do, you want to be with somebody you like, like what you're doing, like who you're working with. It's like anything. So,
100%, bro.
I mean, yeah, if you like who you're working with, it's pretty easy to give them some slack.
100%. And the next thing is setting up retainers and then rev share deals. So we'll cover this, but like I said earlier, always charge an upfront fee. There's people that will say like you shouldn't charge an upfront fee, or I think it's so stupid. Like always charge an upfront fee. You're doing work for them. You get paid to do work. Like your time's not free. The value you're providing isn't free. So if someone asks you like, well, can we do purely commission? And it's like, oh, you clearly don't see the value in what I'm doing. So like maybe this just isn't for you, and maybe they'll clean up their act and be like, no, I was just wondering, or they'll just be like, oh, okay, and they just didn't have money. If they don't have money, then too bad, like it's only
Yeah.
it sounds crazy, but it's only 5K at the end of the day, and the goal is to get them to where they're making $100,000 or more per month. So a big part of that is limiting beliefs. If they think 5K is this shit ton of money that they can't invest, there's two things that tells you, right? One, they have limiting
I'll see the
beliefs.
bigger picture.
Yeah, like they don't think that they can get to a point where they make that 5,000 back. They don't truly believe they can get to a point where they make $100,000 a month. And at the end of the day, if you don't think that you can make money coaching at all, it kind of is going to hinder some of their decisions they make that are going to hold the entire company back.
Yeah, like running ads and everything costs money. So if they're scared,
Yeah.
if they're
And you're
doing money,
like, hey,
they branch
dude,
out and scale.
yeah, hey, dude, we spent $100 on ads and we made $1,000 in return. We should spend more on ads. Oh, nah, dude, like I like making $900 off the $100 ad spend. It's like, dude, that's a great return, but like, who
Bro, that's a
cares?
10x, dude. I'm putting $1,000 making 10K, and if it keeps doing that, I'm pumping that money
Well,
up.
shit, bro. Even if you put in 1,000 and it drops to a 2x and you make $1,000 and you make $2,000 and you only make 1,000, you still made $100 more than the 900. Who cares
Yeah.
about the x's? At the end of the day, you're trying to make more money. Like more profit specifically.
Yeah, it's gonna be good.
Yeah. So if they can't do that, like, yeah, because that will be a situation you run into at some point, I promise you, where you're like, hey, we're spending $1,000 and we made $5,000. And they're like, well, okay, well, let's double the ad spend, and then you spend,
2K.
yeah, you spend 2K and maybe you make, the same 5K or something because like ads have to optimize, or maybe like, you need a sale every other month to make more or whatever. But then they want to turn it off. But then like if you go and you spend, like maybe you're like, I want to spend, you're still profitable, right? So then you're like, okay, well, let's spend 3K. And then you go make 10K. You're still spending 3 times more, only making twice, like 2 times more, but you're still
Yeah,
profiting
you're
the
making more
7K
money.
difference. Yeah. You're
Yeah.
profiting more at the end of it. I kind of fucked up that example, but you get the
No, no,
picture,
no.
right?
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. And then we'll cover like the final workflow. We'll review absolutely everything that's built out and show you like the end-to-end automation with an actual visual, and show you how it works. We'll fill out like we'll go through the whole process from like, okay, boom, we're on a YouTube video. I click on this link. I'm taken here. I fill out this form. I get sent to a book a call page, and like we'll be a customer, and I'll show you what it looks like for a customer and everything like that. You know.
Mm.
But do you have any questions on section 10? This is the last slide. So if you have any like over,
Yeah. The setting up retainers and rev share deal, like making the agreement or contract or whatever, how it works. How do I know how much I should be charging somebody based on their income? Like, because I'm not gonna charge someone 5K, like you said, if someone's making 500K, and I'm gonna obviously charge them more. So is there like do you do like a percentage, or you just do feel, or do you do if you like the person? Like, how do you go about it?
so really how much value you feel you're worth, and yeah, also how it translates to someone at the end of the day. So like if you're looking at an offer and the guy's made $0 with it, and he doesn't make that, like say he's a fitness coach, so he's not technically making money from the business at all, right? Like you can charge him 5K. Like that should really be like your minimum. Like yeah, you can go for less, but it's still like a lot of work and a lot of value you're providing them. Even if they go make $1,000 a month, they still over double their investment. You know what I'm saying? Which obviously if you go into like the rev share and details and expenses, whatever, like maybe not, but just for a general example, they're building a business. So 5K is not a monster investment by any means. I know it's a lot of money for some people and it's still an investment, but at the end of the day you're providing a ton of value to help them make money over the long run, right? So it's not that hard to help them get a return on that investment. But really, like for example, say you have, instead of a fitness coach, this e-commerce coach who maybe he's not making any money with the coaching business either yet, but his e-com like his offer that he's built, or like he's going to be able to convert better than a fitness coach. So like you should feel better about the offer. They're probably more confident in making money online because they do make money online. Like they make money with e-commerce. So they're like, well, why can't I make money with a course? They know it's a real thing. They're a
Yeah,
little more aware in the market. Then you can charge them like 10 to 25
yeah,
upfront
yeah.
plus.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. So you kind of just have to think about it and feel it out. And honestly, like at the end of the day, whatever number you want that you're willing to do the work for is like what you'll do, but never shoot yourself short either, you know? So
Yeah, I
like,
mean, you'll hate doing the work.
yeah, if a deal is presented to you where you're like, damn, I can tell this guy doesn't have money, but like I believe in his product and like I think he's gonna blow up or something, which is a really rare situation to be in. Maybe like you end up taking like 3K up front. Like it's still up to you, you know?
Yep.
But
And then
in
do you
another
always do
way,
20% to 30%?
dude, you can really like again, there's people that take up to 50%. You pretty much you pretty much never go over 50%.
It's
But
like half their business, bro.
yeah, and it's yeah,
There's no
I mean
way.
50%, whenever I heard somebody taking 50%, like good for them, cool. I don't know, because the goal as a growth operator is kind of just to figure out how to delegate everything and build the business, right? So like the goal is to get in a position where you're not taking sales calls. You're not making content because the coach is making content. You're not like hiring, or you're not sending out messages, appointment setting.
Yeah, you'll be doing less at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But
So
50% is like a
I personally have found that 20 to 30% is like a pretty solid number to go with, like a pretty fair number. Now, like
yeah.
if it also depends on the upfront fee and the earning potential of the offer. So you just think about it a little bit, just think about like, okay, I expect this guy to make this much money per month. If he's not paying me $10,000 up front, then I'm going to need 30% because 20% is not going to make up for it within X amount of time. Like just
Mhm.
run the numbers
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
So we're covering how to get clients as a growth operator. Can you see my screen all right and everything?
Yeah, we're
Okay,
good.
cool, cool. So obviously, first of all, what is a growth operator? It's simply partnering with an influencer or online coach or course creator to leverage their brand and make some bread, right? So basically, you partner with a creator and give them the expectations of posting on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and post educational content or content that gets views, and you expect them to run the coaching calls inside their one-on-one mentorship or their group calls, or of course like video, the actual course. And then you expect them to push all traffic from their social media into that offer that you're helping them launch. So as the actual growth operator, what you're taking care of is setting up the back end systems like the CRM, automations, payment processing, you're nurturing email list, you're building out a lead magnet if they need it, low ticket offer, high ticket offer, their funnel, their VSL build outs, their scripts, their strategy for social media. And again, a lot of these are also like consulting, like for example, the strategy for social media, like they're still implementing everything themselves, recording everything themselves, obviously. But you can like talk about what direction they can go in. Customer support when onboarding, which is like more like your closers and setters, hiring and training setters and closers. Of course, in the beginning, when you first pick up a coach, if they don't have a significant amount of leads, then they're going to be closing themselves. And if it gets to the point where they can't handle it all, you're going to be the first closer on the offer. And then from there, you can start bringing in a closer whenever it makes sense. And, obviously some of that love can be spread out. Offer structure, so their pricing, deliverables, what they actually need to provide to the people that they're working with. For example, the one-on-one coaching, like even in terms of how long the program would need to be, and then of course like how much it is, and then running and optimizing their ads, which not every single person you work with is going to need every single one of these bullet points, but this covers 99% of what you would have to do on pretty much any offer. So you don't need a massive like brand or following to be a GO, but you do need a brand or following of some kind. Like you need to figure out a way to put out content that can actually build credibility in a way, right? So like what we've talked about is a YouTube channel that's super niche. You're not trying to get a ton of views. You're just building something that can get inbound leads, or you can redirect people that reach out to you to something where they can get more information, right? So obviously showing your face is going to help a lot with credibility. And then of course, like knowing what you're talking about is going to build authority, credibility. And you can start being a GO from scratch. A lot of people think that you need to go through and own like a ads agency before, which it is obviously helpful if you've already acquired a specific skill that's included in being a growth operator. But you can also start from scratch. So the first thing that you're covering, like whenever you're going through and actually starting with client acquisition, which for you specifically, this will look a little bit different and it can go two different ways. But whenever you're setting up your actual Instagram page, you want to show your face and profile picture for, actual credibility. See that you're a real person. You're not just like, a VA or, an AI bot, faceless guy. You want your bio to clearly state what you do. Obviously, you need some followers. If you have 0 followers, people are not going to respond regardless. If you do post on Instagram, which you should at least have like some posts, which again, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that with you specifically here in a second. But post both lifestyle, talking head, and then actual YouTube content is where content's going to be game changing. YouTube's the most important by far. Like Instagram's not absolutely mandatory, but a lot of people will still contact you through it.
Yeah.
So you're making these YouTube videos not just for views, but to educate cold DMs that you send. So if you do reach out to coaches through Instagram, for example, the process would be like You go on YouTube, you find someone who's newer to YouTube, is building an audience, makes engaging content, has a niche following, and you're like, hey, I think you do really good with one-on-one coaching. Then you reach out to them through DMs on Instagram, because you can't DM them on YouTube. You know what I mean? But you find them on YouTube. It's a better platform. So this would be an example of technically, like a bad example where you can't really see this guy's face. And his bio isn't too in depth, and the link in his bio, obviously you can't tell from a screenshot, but it didn't work. He does at least have some followers, and post part of his face, and still kind of says what he does. But this is like decent, but this is what like a good profile would look like in terms of like, this kid was super young, so I wanted to use his page because this kid's low-key a killer. But I mean, he's like 16 years old or something. Yeah, 16, 50K a month at 16, which I don't know if that's true or not. But regardless, he does it the right way in terms of social media. So like his first pin post is him on like a boat or something, right? Just something that's like gives off the lifestyle vibe, because a lot of people care about that. And then he goes into educational content, which again is not mandatory for Instagram. Now for you, where this is a little bit different, where not everybody is going to have this in place. Like a lot of people are starting with no Instagram, or like, they don't play a sport. Like I played a sport. Obviously you play college baseball as well. So what you can do is find people on YouTube and DM them from your normal Instagram, right? And they're still going to see you're like a real person, and you being like a college athlete, they're going to like, that's going to help you stand out more. Not everybody can do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like if you wanted to like not send DMs through your main IG that like you post baseball and stuff on, then you can make a second page and kind of switch it up a little bit. But
Yeah, but I have no followers.
for the second page, you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have to low key buy some, like just like 1,000, like nothing crazy. It would be like probably, I don't know what that is, like $20 maybe. I have no clue. If I was you, I would personally use your current Instagram, your personal, and
Mhm.
then just DM through that, especially like when you're first
So
just getting
if I'm
started.
making, if I'm putting content out though, is that not like counter, like, to be honest, I don't want to have baseball and my stuff I'm doing here merged.
Yeah, yeah, and then you just make the second Instagram
Because I don't
page.
want like I don't care if this is like public. I just don't want it to look like a distraction to like scouts or like
Yeah, you wouldn't have anything on your baseball Instagram, to be clear, that like anything to do with business. It would be your normal Instagram page. But like usually if someone were to do that, like it just doesn't help, like they don't stand out just being a typical person. But being a college baseball player, like you still stand out without saying exactly what you do. People are still gonna respond to your DM because they're like, oh, this dude plays college baseball. That's cool. So you don't
yeah.
have to
I
say in
see
your
no, I see the
bio.
DMs point. I see the DM standpoint. I'm just saying like if I were gonna make like content.
Yeah. I would personally, starting off, honestly, not make Instagram content at all. I would just post your normal lifestyle stuff, which right now is baseball, which still like, shows you're a real person and still helps you stand out at the end of the day.
Well, my girlfriend's probably gonna make me take a 10,000 Instagram photos for. I'm going on a cruise in like a week.
Yeah, like that's a good look. You know what I mean?
Bro, I was saying that's why I wanted to get on these calls like ASAP because like we were talking about like doing the YouTube video on the cruise. I'm on like the top, like my brother got me upgraded on like the top like suite, so it would look like I have like bread.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good look, bro, especially for the first video. But in terms of actually like finding clients, um, outreach breakdown, find leads, creators, coaches. Then, of course, you cold DM them. You can shoot them something like a Loom video with the idea of booking a call with them. And then on the call, that's where actually go to close them. You send the contract, have it get signed, and then you start the work. That's like the basic breakdown. But like we've talked about in the past, customers spend money to make money, right? So you don't want to go with fitness, self-improvement, beauty, confidence, or like dating coaches, like those types of niches, right? There's occasionally an offer that works in some of these niches. And, if someone reaches out to you in one of those niches and they have, money to pay you an upfront fee, maybe you can consider it. But like in terms of actually outbound, like reaching out to people, you want to stay within something like day trading, crypto, side hustles, social media marketing agencies or agencies in general, e-commerce, credit, e-commerce, like things like dropshipping and day trading are two like massive offers. I don't Sports betting's not on here, but that's another one that's kind of slept on a little bit. In terms of finding the creators, TikTok, I didn't really write anything because I personally don't use TikTok. I think TikTok's honestly kind of buns for this, but it is a route you could go. Or if you see someone on TikTok while you're just on it, then obviously you can reach out to them through Instagram. All three of, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, where you're trying to find people, you're going to end up DMing them on Instagram, regardless. That's the only way you can reach out to these people. But on Instagram, you can follow coaches in the niche you're kind of going for and go through their following or their recommended to find more accounts. But what I recommend by far is going to YouTube, either having a new account or just your typical account. If you watch like BizOp kind of videos, if you don't, making a new account might be beneficial. Subscribe to the coaches in a specific niche, and then try to get recommended like newer people into the space that make informational videos, niche videos. And you can also search for the latest videos of, like, for example, if you're working with an e-commerce coach or you're trying to work with an e-com coach, you can type in like drop shipping and then put in latest videos, like most recently published, so that it's not just the biggest, most popular people, because then you're never going to find the guys that are new to the market. But again, once you find them on YouTube, boom, search them up, DM them on Instagram, and then take them through that process, where you cold DM, Loom video, book call, which Loom video is just like you sit, build out a Miro board similar to this. It should be like 5 to 10 minute video explaining what you're going to do for that coach, and you send it over. So it informs them before the call and builds some credibility, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you want to make sure you understand the coach's offer when you reach out, and you want to DM about an offer you believe they do not have, which is hopefully a high ticket offer, right? So a lot of trading coaches, for example, they'll launch a Discord that's like $29 a month. And like they're just not going to print with that majority of the time, but they could easily do one-on-one coaching for like 3 to 5K, and they're going to make way more than a low ticket community. So you help them launch that. You know what I
Because
mean?
you'd have to sell like legit like 100 to like 150 to even just sell one if you just like raise the ticket price.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they have no high ticket, or they have no offer at all, then this is like an example of a message you can send them. You could be making 10 to 20K per month with a high ticket offer. Mind if I show you what I would do if I was you? If they have no low ticket offer and they're only selling high ticket, which honestly, like, you really, really want to target guys that don't have a high ticket offer. But if they have no low ticket and that's what you end up, like someone reaches out to you or just ends up working out and this is what they need, help them improve and consult for their high ticket, but then also help them launch a low ticket if they need it. But are you doing anything with your unqualified leads? You could for sure push a large part of your audience and customers into a community. Mind if I show you how I would do that? Now, when you send one of these two messages, again, like, I'm recording this, so you'll be able to watch this back if you want to, take the message basically word for word. But once you send this message, you're then going to either shoot them a Loom video, which Loom is just like a screen recorder, same as like QuickTime Player basically. Or you can use, like, the video automatically gets uploaded to Loom and you can send them the link straight through Loom. Or you can upload a video to YouTube unlisted, so it's not public, but you can copy the private link, send it to them, only they can see it. In the Loom video, you want to make sure to pull up their Instagram profile and pull up an example of another Instagram that's similar to the coach that you're reaching out to. Show what the other coach did and what results that coach got from the same niche. Even if it's not necessarily like a coach you work with, just an example to compare something like, hey, this is what your page,
the competition.
Exactly. Like, this is what your page looks like. This is what it should look like. I'm going to help you get there. This is what his offers, his funnels look like, everything like that. And of course, explain what you can help them with and what you've helped others with. And then Miro board, which is what like I'm presenting on right now, just building out these bubbles with arrows. Looks professional, clean, easy to like stay on track, especially in like a 5 to 10 minute video. So you don't absolutely need to do this. You can just pull up tabs, like they're like open a tab of their Instagram, open a tab of the other coaches, open up a tab of the other coach's funnels compared to that coach's funnel. But honestly recommend like screenshotting all of those things and putting it onto a Miro board. It just looks a lot better. From there, when you send them this Loom call, like you should have a CTA, a call to action, just at the end of the video, telling them what the purpose of you sending the Loom video is, right? Like, hey, I sent all of this. If you want more information, make sure to like, I'm gonna send you my call link, book a call with me, and we can go more in depth,
Do I just send my number?
Your phone number.
Yeah.
I would probably just send them a Calendly link, but you can also shoot them the phone number or just have them keep DMing you on Instagram. But you definitely want to get them on like a Zoom call at the end of the day, So if they have your phone number, or if you just book it straight from Instagram and like, hey, at 5 p.m. today, I'll shoot you a Zoom link on Instagram, like see you then, that's fine too. And then on the closing call, you want to approach it as a partnership. You're charging them upfront, like an upfront fee, but you're not charging them a retainer. You're not constantly charging them. You're doing a revenue share. So you want to approach it as like more of a partnership where you're working together rather than like you're doing something for him. You're like working for him in a way. But you're doing a revenue share based on the business that you're providing them through like the funnels, everything like that. The rev share is the most important part of the deal. That is where you're going to increase your LTV the most, your lifetime value. That's where you're going to make the most money over the course of a year. Upfront fees are cool, but you have to constantly find new people to pay you, right? Which is going to be a lot harder than bringing an offer from 0 to 10K a month. And then like getting that offer to 20K, 50K, 100K months and having 20 to 30% of that, then they're paying you basically.
So if I can, I just do like obviously get both if I can, but at the end of the day, if I could just squeeze like a lower upfront fee and just get like a 30% instead of a 20%, do that.
Right. Yeah. So early on, especially, like I've seen, it literally says it right here. I've seen a ton of growth operators get ghosted after they close a revenue share deal. Like they'll do it with no upfront fee. Like, hey, I just want commission based on what I help generate. Then they'll build out all these funnels and the coach will ghost them, never even launch, or launch using the funnels, never pay them, and then never speak to them again. But when you have any kind of upfront fee, it just helps so much, right? Like even if it's $1,500, if they pay you $1,500 to build everything out and start consulting with them and you provide value, you help them hit like, a 10K month, say you had 20% off the 10K, they owe you 2K, they already paid you $1,500 up front. They're going to be 99%, likely to actually pay you the 2K. They've already paid you $1,500 compared to if they didn't pay you up front, there's no
So they could still ghost, but it's just that they have paid before that they're more likely to be able to pay again.
Right, exactly. It's just a type of person that you're working with. Like that person sees the value in what you're offering and they are like willing to pay up front for what you're doing.
So someone's like, yo, I'm not I won't do it upfront for you, but you can have 50%. Do I still just like be like, all right, bet?
That's completely up to you at the end of the day. If you feel like they have a lot of potential, it's worth your time. The problem with like a 50% fee is it's hard to make those last a long time, right? Like say 3 months goes by and now you're getting to like some numbers that you can enjoy. Like now he's making 50K a month, right? And you're taking 50%. So he's paying you out 25K a month. Like eventually he's going to be like, dude, like I'm gonna just try to run this on my own. And he might run himself into the ground and lose all the money that you were helping him make.
Yeah, but sending off half your bread's gonna hurt.
Yeah, exactly. But
Sure.
I like upfront fees a lot. There's people with varying opinions on that. Me personally, I will never take a deal with no upfront fee ever again for like a geo client ever.
No incentive to pay.
Yeah, But starting off, it obviously, like, I would say the minimum you should charge up front is 5K. If you're building them a CRM, a pipeline, like consulting with them, you're on calls with them every week, maybe like you're doing some sales training with them, reviewing their
Answer calls,
calls,
bro.
yeah, or taking calls with them. And again, if you do start closing for a coach, you get 10% that closing fee. So make sure they know that. Like, hey, if I do close for you, I get a 10% closing fee just like any other closer would.
You get
So
30% of that sale.
exactly. Like if you agreed at 20% rev share, but you're acting as a closer, then you get 10% as a closer, 20% as a growth operator, you know?
Then why would it, then could I, but is 10% like across the board, or could I just say 15, 20% they don't know what they're talking about?
If like as a closer,
Hmm.
I mean, you could,
But
if
in
you
the
wanted
future, when I
to.
get a closer, I'll just, I mean, no, it won't even affect me, it just affect him. So, I mean,
No,
yeah.
because if you're getting paid, usually on rev shares, you're paid after commissions and ad spend, right? So if they pay out a closer 10%, say he makes 50K, he pays him out 5K on 10%, then you're paid off the 45,000 left over. 20% would
So,
be 9K. But if
so it's
he's
okay.
paid, yeah, but if the closer's paid 20%, then now you're looking at a 10K off. Now you're getting paid 8K instead of 9K.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's still like $1,000 difference at that level. Like, and the closer's going to be happy. It just depends how good the closer is, how bad or how good they fit the offer, and how bad you need them. Um, just based on like how much you would pay them, honestly, like what the coach is willing to do. But industry standard is that an offer should be at about 100K a month to bring on a closer full time, and the closer gets paid 10%. That's like industry standard. You can do more. There's plenty of people that actually do go up to like 20%. It's pretty rare, but it does exist. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So that's kind of up to you. But then obviously, once you get them on that closing call, now you have them closed, and then it's into the actual fulfillment modules. You know what I mean? So I hope you got a ton of value from this video. I really just wanted to open up and share the business model that I do. And, honestly, there's tons and tons of different ways that people are making money right now in the info space, right? Like coaches and selling various different offers. I mean, there's hundreds of different niches. There's closers, there's setters, there's growth operators, there's agencies. I mean, there's so many different ways to make money online. And personally, I've been trying various different ways since I was about 14 years old with marketing agencies, e-commerce, trading, SaaS, and a bunch of other different things. This has by far been the best business model in every aspect in terms of, time put forth. When you get really good at this, it doesn't consume your entire day. And the crazy part is you can make tens of thousands of dollars a month with just one client. You can go and get 3 clients and, combine them for $1 million a month and make $200,000 a month with a 20% cut, right? There's so many different ways to make money right now with this specific offer of being a growth operator. So if this interests you, if you are a growth operator, but you're not finding the success that you want, if you're not a growth operator, maybe you're in the agency, you're a coach, you're a closer, but you're looking for that next step of becoming a GO, and you want help or you want to work with me one-on-one, if you sit here and you're watching a 2-hour long video and getting through it to this stage of the video, then you're very likely someone that I'd be willing to work with. I take my one-on-one very seriously. I don't just put people in a course. I don't have a downsell. It's either we work one-on-one or we don't work with each other at all. And I guarantee that you'll get a client whenever you work with me one-on-one as well. So if this is something you really want to do, and clearly you're a different type of person if you're still watching this long ass video at this point. So check out the link in the description, fill out the form, apply. Somebody on my team will reach out, and you never know, next thing you know, we could be on a call with each other. I hope you got a ton of value from this video. I hope to talk to you soon.